Well, come on along and welcome aboard Indiana Sports Beat, of course, coming to you from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios. It is a beautiful day, and it is Friday, TGIF. Thanks a lot for joining us wherever you're going, whatever you're doing. We appreciate you taking Indiana Sports Beat along for the ride. Jake's at the wheel, keeping us on the track. And I'm here as always. Lots to get to on the program today. Tom Brew from Sports Illustrated Maven. We kicked his program or his platform off last week as they had just started that, but Sports Illustrated stepping into the local print side. He is the handling the IU beat for them. Look forward to talking to Tom. We'll talk some football, some basketball, all things Hoosiers. Todd Leary, the Toddfather, he's back as he is each Friday. It's Toddfather Day as Todd Leary joins us today as well. Lots to talk about. The big news, the Hoosier Hysteria date is set. That came out yesterday. That'll be October 5th. I cannot believe we're talking about Hoosier Hysteria. We're just a week into football fall camp. That's like, I went to Kroger the other day, and it was the end of July. So it wasn't just the other day, but a couple weeks ago. But they had the pumpkin things out. Not real pumpkins yet, but fake pumpkins. Glass pumpkins. I'm like, dude, it's July. Pumpkins are out. But the date's been set. So set it. October 5th, 4 p.m. The ladies and the men both will be featured. It's free to get in, but they ask that you bring a canned good. I got something better than that. Everybody, speaking of Kroger, everybody's got Kroger bags stuffed in a cabinet somewhere. Grab you a couple, double bag it, throw you 4 or 5 cans in there. Don't just bring one. Make a party out of it. Hey, hope your week's gone well. If not, we're about to kick off the weekend, so you can forget about it. But, man, this weather's been amazing. The lack of humidity, crazy. NFL kicked off last night, their preseason run. Man, injuries all over the place. Guys went down. Unfortunately, that injury bug hit former Hoosier Nate Sudfeld with Philadelphia. Great performance that he had in that game. He was 10 of 18, 177 yards. He had a 75-yard bomb. But broke his wrist. That was after a personal foul, too, on the defense. I didn't see the play, so I don't really know how that broke down. But how about Ian Thomas? You remember him from a couple years ago? He's with the Panthers. I remember, I think it was the Ohio State game, the opening game 2 seasons ago. He made a catch in the end zone that, he had tight end size then, so you knew he was the tight end, but he looked like a wide receiver. The way he made the catch, got his feet down. I remember at that moment thinking, wow, that's a pro catch. And man, he had a nice little season last year. Cam Newton was hurting the back half of their season, but I think he caught over 330 yards of balls, and they're expecting bigger things from him this year. So hopefully that goes well for former Hoosier Ian Thomas. A lot of Indiana guys in the NFL, in the league right now. Jordan Howard, of course. I mentioned Nate Sudfeld. Cody Latimer. I think he had a decent night last night. Caught a couple balls for 36 yards for the Giants. So hopefully those guys all have a great season. Lots to get to on today. Also, Anthony Leal making his decision today. So Hoosier fans or Hoosier Nation is waiting with bated breath. That will come later today, late in the afternoon, early evening, sometime around there, I believe. But you'll have to be tending to Twitter. There's no big announcement. There's no big festive thing. No big public. Just you're going to send out a message. Text into the show from Joker. Pumpkins ain't nothing. Hobby Lobby has Christmas stuff out now. Are you kidding me? Well, that's Hobby Lobby. So I guess they're kind of like a year-round bunch of crazies maybe, but it's still nuts. Another text in the show from Tim. Nice to hear Nate Sudfeld throws long touchdown passes in last night's game, but sad to hear he broke his wrist. Yeah, that sucks. But the best part of it, at least, though, I guess, or the bright side, I guess I should say, is it's obviously very early in the season. So he'll be back in 6 to 8 weeks, depending on the severity. I wonder if I didn't see the play either, but I don't know if it was his right or his left wrist. Hopefully it's not his throwing wrist, but we'll see. But Hoosier Nation waiting to see what Mr. Leal is going to do. That announcement coming today, and I'll just be forthright with you. If he does not pick Indiana, I would be utterly shocked. I think Hoosier Nation should be preparing for the collection of their second commitment for next season. To go along with Trey Galloway. Now, these guys aren't superstars, but they're stars. They're going to be stars. They're going to be they're guys that will develop. But it's not like they have far to go. Trey Galloway's undervalued at a 3-star. He's a very high 3-star. I mean, I don't see how you – the only reason he's not a 4-star because by the guys that make that decision, which if you listen to us with Todd Leary each week, he's not a fan of that. And with good reason. If you remember when we had Brian Evans on, he said he was maybe a 2-star. Galloway does a lot of things, man. He's going to be a glue guy. Anthony Leal is the shooter. Is he an elite shooter? No, he's not an elite shooter. Can he become that? Oh, absolutely. That's up to him. But he's a good shooter now. And it's something Indiana desperately needs. Galloway can shoot the ball. He's just that's not his forte per se. Dude can do a lot. And I think they complement each other. They're different. They both play guard, but they're different guards. They're different type players. Leal can go from the 2 to the 3. Galloway, you can kind of bend him around. I mean, the 3 might be a stretch, but he's a 1-2 easily. He can play the point if he had to. Play the point if he had to. How's Jake doing today?
Very tired.
Why is Jake tired?
Playing basketball, and there was a lot of high schoolers there, and high schoolers have a whole lot more energy than I do.
Yeah, but that's the whole purpose of being out there, to expend that energy. You play all the time. How can you should be in shape.
I mean, I am in shape, but they're more in shape because they practice every day. So it's just different. And I'm old, so that doesn't help either.
What is it, basketball team players?
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember the last time I played full court basketball. I do. I distinctly remember. You used to try to do the same thing, and it was probably 10 years ago. I'm like, this ain't going to work. I couldn't breathe. And I was what I thought somewhat in shape at the time. Couldn't do it. I'm like, are you kidding me? That's rough getting up and down that floor and you're not used to it.
Father Time is undefeated, unfortunately.
You got that right. Man, it's been an incredible week of guests. I need to start keeping track. I mean, we do keep track, but I need to start making a list for at the end of the week to go back over them. Guys we've had on this week. Who did we have on this week? Oh, James Blackman Jr. That was awesome. Back earlier in the week. Pancho Wright. A lot of you guys don't know that name, but great Indianapolis High School for Louisville's national championship team. Jared Odell was on this week. So it was a very good week. Deontay Craig's another guy they're waiting for a commitment for on the football side. He's down between Iowa and Indiana. We'll be talking about that as well and plenty more. On the program today, like I said, Tom Brew from Sports Illustrated Maven is going to join us in the next hour. And, of course, the Toddfather is TGIF. Lots more coming up here on Indiana Sports Speed. Keep it tuned right here. We're coming to you from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios. We're back with more right after this.
Way down south, about Mexico way. Way down south, about Mexico way.
Hello, everybody. Jim Coyle from Indiana Sports Beat. When I'm not covering the Hoosiers, you can find me at Bubba's 33 in Clarksville, located on the northeast corner of I-65 at Veterans Parkway. Bubba's 33 has hand-tossed pizzas, bold burgers, and ice-cold beer from a select list of local craft brewers. An incredible food selection, all made fresh daily. Whether you're meeting the team for that post-win meal in the family dining area or meeting friends for happy hour to watch the game on one of Bubba's 50 TVs. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Pizza, burgers, beer.
We all want a winning smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you will get at Reynolds Family Dentistry in Sellersburg. Reynolds Family Dentistry has been serving the dental needs of Hoosier families for over 30 years. Let Doctors Roger and Jay Reynolds take care of your family. Just off of I-65 at 809 South Indiana Avenue in Sellersburg. Call 812-246-3368. That's Reynolds Family Dentistry, 812-246-3368.
Now that warm weather has arrived, it's time to hit the links, and there's no better place than the golf club at Eagle Point in Bloomington. Voted best golf course by the readers of the Bloomington Herald-Times, the golf club at Eagle Point is under new ownership, has new fairways and bunkers, and it's open to the public. When the round's over, there's cold beer and a full menu at the Eagle Point Pub and Bistro. Call 812-824-1100 to make a tee time. That's 812-824-1100. The golf club at Eagle Point in Bloomington.
This is AJ Moye.
This is Dan Dockett.
Hey, this is Michael Lewis, former Indiana basketball player.
This is Indiana football coach Tom Allen.
This is Jim Coyle with the Indiana Sports Beat. You can always like and follow us on Facebook. Always follow the show rebroadcast on iTunes, Google Play, iHeartRadio, Spotify. TheDailyHoosier.com is a great place to sign up for each and every day. Or, of course, on 97.7 The Ref in Evansville. For the best recycling and waste removal service, turn to the area's leader, Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling, a homegrown company serving southern Indiana since 1995. Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling serves Floyd, Clark, Harrison, and Washington counties. For excellent service and peace of mind, call Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling today at 812-944-5642. That's 812-944-5642. Keep life sweet with Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling.
I'm Rain Shaddy, and I'm a Hoosier. As a toddler, you could always find me running around in a cream and crimson onesie and a red IU hat reminiscent of those worn during the world-famous William Tell timeout, shouting, "Go Hoosiers!" Like many other alum, I chose to make Bloomington my home. As a civic and alumni leader, I have become very knowledgeable about our community and would love to share my insights with you as your realtor. Find me on Facebook or call or text me, Ryan Shaddy, with FC Tucker Bloomington Realtors at 765-623-9093.
This is former Indiana basketball player Brian Evans, and you're listening to Indiana Sports Beat with Jim Coyle.
All
All right, welcome back to Indiana Sports Beat. Of course, coming to you from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios. Hope you are having a good day. Joined now by our good friend Kevin Brockway from CNHI Papers, the beat writer for IU from CNHI. Kevin, how are you, sir?
Good morning. How are things?
Things are doing, man. Things are doing. Football has started. It's warm still. It's just a great time. I'm ready for some football, more for a football game, but we got a few more weeks. But we're going to enjoy the practice right now.
Yeah, I mean, I think we're finding out a little bit early on in this camp. Certainly when you look at Wednesday afternoon, Mike Penix probably had his best day of camp in terms of his ability to throw the football, move the team down the field. Made a really nice throw to Ty Freifragel, which I think kind of built up his confidence. But we have seen, in different practices, different quarterbacks step up on different days. Peyton Ramsey in the first practice looked really good. Tuttle in the Monday practice early this week looked good. So they've all really had their moments early in camp.
Well, it's funny how Penix has really progressed quickly. But when we first started this, I came up with this deal that of ranking the quarterbacks on the 10-point must system like a boxing match because I couldn't really think of another way to do it. But anyway, how it started out, Peyton Ramsey, of course, had a great first day, and makes sense because he's the most in tune with the plays because he's been around the longest. And Penix was kind of last. He didn't look quite as sharp. And then the next practice that we got to see, that kind of changed. It was Jack Tuttle who really had a good day, but Penix moved up. Ramsey kind of moved down. And then yesterday you talk about Penix really came on and had his best day yet, of course, and I gave him the win yesterday and then dropped Peyton Ramsey and then Tuttle to the bottom. So it's funny, of the 3 days that I've done that, each day has been a completely different order. And if you were going by that point system, they'd be tied at 27 points right now. But I think it's clearly you can see that Michael Penix is starting to take hold here.
Yeah, and Kalen DeBoer made the point I thought was pretty interesting. The offensive coordinator, IU's new offensive coordinator, of course, made the point about Mike Penix, obviously, in the spring, not, being able to go full live reps because he was rehabbing from the torn ACL. And, not really maybe in the beginning, early in practices, kind of having that grasp of the offense and the terminology the way Jack did and the way Peyton Ramsey did. And now, he basically is saying once Mike gets that, and he thinks that'll come soon, then he can just kind of go out and play and be a lot more instinctive than what he is now. But that being said, you can see that he's really progressing with the offense. And, the drives downfield were impressive. He made some good throws. He also, kind of saw the defense, had some good handoffs as well. But the team really seemed to move under him. And, that's one of the prerequisites. Obviously they've talked about all, preseason about the quarterback competition. Who's going to be the quarterback that guys believe in? And really on that Wednesday, it looked like that the team really believed that Penix was going to take him down the field and score, and that's what they did.
Yeah, that was one of the first things that Kalen DeBoer talked about. Here's what he had to say.
Mike Penix threw the ball today and ran the offense?
Yeah, he did a really good job. You can see when we need to make throws down the field. He not just has the arm talent and explosiveness to throw it there, but great accuracy. And I think all the quarterbacks did a really good job of knowing situations today. 2-minute drill, the second time we've done it, and we weren't in some very favorable positions at times, but we found ways to, move the sticks, make a play, put some pressure on the defense, and get some field goals to win it. Coach,
Mike Penix.
So there you go. We heard him talking right there about, you were actually asking that question, and he's talking about Michael Penix. But, it's just weird how he's gone from looking the least comfortable on that first day to looking pretty doggone comfortable yesterday.
Yeah, no question. And I think that as it evolves, it'll be interesting to see, this quarterback competition is all going to be about who puts together the best days. So, it's a race I think that's far from over, as we all know. But certainly Penix acquitted himself really well on Wednesday.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll certainly find out. Now you've got an article coming out today. I think it's on Samson James.
On Stevie Scott.
Stevie Scott,
III. Yeah,
Stevie Scott had a great day yesterday too, man. It was our first day to really get to see him because it was the first day in pads for us to see him in pads. It was our second day, but we got to really see him running the ball yesterday, and he looked pretty sharp early on.
Yeah, and he had that 33-yard touchdown run, obviously, when he, kind of burst through the hole, went down the sideline, and then made the safety miss at the end of the run. And that's what, Mike Hart had been talking about with him, is just having that ability. Maybe something that, Mike Hart said he felt like he couldn't have done last year, and he's learning this year in terms of, his burst and being able to beat a safety and have those long touchdown runs that really ignite a team when you can have a big play like that. So I think that, you're really encouraged with Stevie in terms of how he's handling, the competition in camp, the fact that there are more running backs, Cole Guest being back with the two up-and-coming freshmen, and Samson James and Ivory Winters, and as well as Ronnie Walker Jr., the sophomore. So I think Stevie's, done a good job, and he's talked a lot about, having that full year of strength and conditioning with, Dave Ballou and with Dr. Ree in terms of, helping his speed. Feels like he might even have a little extra gear in him this year.
Yeah, he talked about not having all that strength with him until he got here. And actually, it was Mike Hart, the coach, said that he didn't think that Stevie had ever done anything before he got to Indiana. But having been under the tutelage of Dr. Ray and Coach Ballou for this last year has paid great dividends. And he said he's faster, he's stronger, he's leaner, he's lost a few pounds. So it's starting to pay off, that program, and it's really starting to pay off for these skill positions, which is part of what the difference has been over the years for Indiana and these other teams, the haves and the have-nots. They had that strength, they had that depth. Indiana's starting to get there. They're crossing a lot of bridges with the strength and the conditioning program and with the talent. They're really raising the level of this program.
Yeah. It's going to be interesting, when you take a look at the running backs and the fact that you've got some talent and depth there. You looked at Stevie Scott last year, and he was really had to be a workhorse with Cole Guest going down and some other situations. I mean, he carried the ball 30 or more times twice, 20 or more times, 5 times last season. And this year, if Samson James and Ivory Winters and Ronnie Walker and Cole can emerge and stay healthy, you might have a situation where you could put a little less wear and tear on Stevie as well, and not necessarily extend him out for 20, 30 carries. I think Stevie will still win the job and be the feature back, but you could, obviously in the Big Ten, you take so many hits, and, there are only so many hits you can take before, you might get dinged up or injured or so forth. So I think it's good to have the depth at that position as well.
Absolutely, because it's going to do two things. It's going to allow him to stay fresher during the games, so when the fourth quarter comes around, he's going to be just as strong then as he was in the first quarter. And then at the end of the season, when he's taking this pounding, he's going to be a lot fresher because they've really been able to spread that energy out and lets a lot of other guys absorb some of the blows and take some of the carries. But it's not just guys coming in either. These guys are talented. Cole Guest might be faster now than before he got injured. You mentioned the other guy, Ivory Winters and Ronnie Walker. Ronnie Walker's got experience. I mean, that running backs room is pretty daggone talented. It may be one of the best in the Big Ten.
Yeah, obviously, you're talking about Stevie Scott. Is he can he get to that level of a Jonathan Taylor or J.K. Dobbins? I think he's close, But, the depth around him is going to be interesting. And the fact that, do Ohio State and do Wisconsin, those other programs have that kind of depth where they can throw different guys at you. It is the Big Ten, though. I mean, it's a tough league for sure, but certainly Indiana is building a nice stable over there.
Yeah, and it's going to be great because now Stevie Scott has that year of experience under his belt. He came in last year as the wide-eyed freshman and was just thrown to the wolves and did quite well, rushed for over 1,100 yards. But now he's got that experience. He's got a talented offensive line in front of him, and he's got a lot of talent around him in general. So, man, I'm just looking forward to see what this offense can do.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. And obviously the question is going to be the balance and the ability to take shots downfield, which Kalen Moore seems to want to do. I think we've seen it a little bit in camp, that they're not just settling for the short throws. that they're mixing it up. They're taking some chances downfield when it's warranted and balancing that with the run game as well.
Yeah, Michael Penix took most of the snaps yesterday, and we saw some of that. He threw. He didn't throw a lot of deep passes, but he did throw several that drew penalties. And just having that ball downfield and putting that pressure on those defenses is going to be pay huge dividends, I think, for this offense, really stretching it out and opening up what they can do.
Yeah, and some of the deeper crossing patterns too we saw. Those 20-yard ends. Those are the kind of things too. Those throws over the middle can be dangerous sometimes, but when you create space within the offense, sometimes you can hit those passes over the middle, or even the tight end that open up as well. It's all a matter of spacing and finding guys running crisp routes.
And, of course, now we've got some basketball news coming on Friday. Anthony Leal, one of IU's top targets, set to make his commitment on Friday. He's not going to do anything special, not having a press conference, not going to do the magic hat routine. He's just going to send out a notice on social media of where he's going.
Yeah, kind of the way that a lot of people are doing it now, and obviously down in Indiana and Stanford, and I think you and I and everyone, I think, would be surprised if he ends up at Stanford. I just feel like everything is pointing to this being, the hometown kid staying here. He seems to really like Bloomington, and I'd be surprised if he ends up anywhere else.
As would I. I mean, I think that he's going to take the opportunity of playing for. He's lucky that he has a great program like that so close, but he didn't have to leave home. Sometimes that's a good thing. Sometimes it's a bad thing. Some kids want to go away, but yeah, the thing about Stanford is it's all the way across the country. His parents would not get to see him play. His family wouldn't get to see him play hardly ever. So I think that's one of the things that eliminates Stanford from it. Plus, Indiana's a pretty damn good program, and it's right here. So, but I expect him to pull Indiana out of his tweet or whatever he's going to send it out on Instagram, however he does it. But I fully expect Indiana to be the team that gets the call.
I think that's always that interesting dynamic of being the hometown kid playing for the hometown kind of university. And, certainly Jordan Holtz had a very nice career, right? It didn't really face him or affect him. Sometimes you have the pressures of ticket demands and friends and everyone being around. You could see it go both ways, but certainly Indiana's, they've benefited from those local kids over the years, right? Jared Jeffries, right? And there have been some others over the years that I'm sure that you're aware of that have stayed home here and have helped the Hoosiers do big things.
Absolutely. I mean, once they get to IU and they're in school, you kind of forget where they're from because they're all out there together, and most people don't see him play in Bloomington anyway, so it's kind of a non-factor. But, the biggest thing is not going away to college. You actually stay home. So some kids like that, and some kids would rather go away. But, however, I think Anthony Leal's going to end up in an Indiana uniform. And then the big question then, who does that pull in? Who's that next recruit going to be? Because you got Trey Galloway, you got Anthony Leal if he pulls Indiana, and those two Indiana guys. But who's that? They've got two other scholarships that are open. Who's that third guy going to be is the big question after that. And they still have an assistant coach to hire, which I'd be shocked if this goes on much longer. It's been, a month now or so?
Yeah, and that's kind of surprising that it's taken this long. You hear different rumblings of things, or maybe of guys that have been approached. I heard one rumbling that somebody was approached and turned down the job. So, which is surprising because it is Indiana basketball. But
yeah, but I mean, do we know that for sure?
Yeah, just something heard through the grapevine with regards to that, but not 100%, certain. But I think that Indiana basketball, you would think, but maybe Archie's doing his due diligence, taking his time, looking for the right guy, looking for the right fit. Somebody that's going to be able to come in here and, do what he wants to do with both recruiting and skill development.
And the only thing I have to say about that is most high-end coaches, they have a list at all times. They're 4 steps ahead of whenever a coach leaves. They already have a list. So, having to do all that extra due diligence. If you've got a list and you've got guys ready, you kind of know who they are. So, I don't know what the reason is that it's taking this long. Like I said, there are a couple different things it could be. Maybe it's a guy they're talking to that's under contract and they have to wait for a certain time. I don't know that that's the case. Maybe they haven't found the guy, or who knows what it is. But there's obviously a reason why they haven't done it. I don't know what it is, and so I'm not going to speculate other than to lay out some possibilities. But either way, I think that this is something that's going to be revolved pretty soon here. I think it's gone on long enough, and I think if it goes on much farther, then questions would start to come up.
Yeah, and I think too that perhaps there could be some things, like I said, him doing his due diligence, or maybe there are multiple candidates he's looking at, and he's trying to cast a wide net and talk to as many people as possible before narrowing it down. So that could be the case too.
Yeah, but like I said, I think when you're trying to hire an assistant, it's someone you probably have some familiarity with or whatnot. I wouldn't think it would take that long to do that much due diligence. That's a lot. It's a lot of time. A month is a long time to do that kind of stuff.
Yep. No, I mean, listen, hey, it's taken a while, but whoever they come up with, it's going to be an important hire, I think, because certainly Ed Schilling was a guy who. On the development, he recruited Indiana, which, they want someone that's going to be able to recruit the state really well. I mean, we already went into the situation with, losing Keon Brooks to Kentucky at the last minute and so forth. So they're going to want a guy that can really lock down the state and get the best of the best.
I think it's a critical hire for Archie Miller. He's got to hit a home run here because this affects recruiting, and I think it's more about recruiting on a national stage. They've got Indiana covered, but it's the national stage where they're not doing well. It's the national stage where they've gone for however many offers they've made. Anybody outside of the state, no one is taking them up on it. So that's where they've got to pick up the pace a little bit because you can't pull in just all Indiana kids.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you get the right ones, 30 years ago Bob Knight did, right? He got the right kids from Indiana.
But he still didn't have all Indiana kids. You still got to have guys that are from other places.
He would get guys from Chicago and Ohio, right? He would get those kind of kids occasionally. But yeah, I mean, Chicago would be an interesting breeding ground because, that's an area where, you look back at Indiana history, right? Isaiah Thomas, Eric Anderson, you always were able to get a few kids from there. And, those are some kids that had some, moxie to them, some competitiveness, the inner city kids, the kind of kids that, played on the playground and had to, keep winning in order to keep their spot on the playground to play.
Next. I got next.
Hey, there's something to be said for that. Those kind of players that just really have that kind of moxie to them, tough-minded kind of players that you could probably use maybe in a program like this where they are right now.
Absolutely. Now, you also, besides covering Indiana, they have you cover other things as well. Part of that is you cover Purdue a little bit, and you're going to be heading up there. It's going to be interesting next time we talk to see what that camp looked like. Jeff Brom, obviously a great, great coach. But the fact that they've been picked 6th in the West, it kind of makes me go, really? Why? Because they had such a successful season last year, and the Big Ten West is obviously weaker than the East. Indiana's picked 5th in the East. So it surprised me to see them picked down that far. That doesn't mean that that's how it's going to end up, of course. But I was just a little surprised with that. They've got Rondale Moore. They've got David Bell. They've got some talent, man. And a shock to see them picked next to last in front of Illinois, I guess?
Yeah, well, I mean, I think there are some question marks at quarterback there. And,
got the same guy back, Sindelar.
Yeah, but who's going to get him the ball? I mean, they do have some, but is he going to be that guy that can get Rondale the more of the ball consistently? And I think that there's some questions with their depth on their defensive line and their offensive line, and Lawrence O'Neal, hasn't been healthy for camp yet, so they've got a few question marks too. I think the thing with the Big Ten West is, it seems like it seems like there's a lot more parity in the West in terms of, Purdue's picked 6, but, would people be surprised if, Purdue won the division? A lot of people are talking up Nebraska. They've been talking up Nebraska every year, just based on their past reputation. Iowa, Wisconsin, solid. Wisconsin might have the best player in the conference in Jonathan Taylor. He's a Heisman Trophy front-running candidate. So Northwestern, won the division last year, and Pat Fitzgerald always does a great job there. So it seems to me like the West is kind of that division where anyone can win it. The question is, who comes out of the West? Are they going to have a chance to beat the East? Because we all know Ohio State, Penn State, Michigan. That's a step above what the West has to offer at this point.
Yeah, I agree. The West is pretty. I think you could go 1 through 6. That there's a lot of parity right there. Those guys are pretty equal, no doubt. And then I agree with you again. The talent levels drops off when you compare it to the Big Ten East. So we will certainly see how that works out. You've got Ohio State coming into this season with a new coach. Indiana will play them on the 3rd game of the season, open up Big Ten play. So they'll get a shot to see what they're like early on. But who knows, man? When you have a coaching change, sometimes it affects how things go.
No question. You never know. And I think that's a huge game for Indiana because you've got it at home. It's on Fox. The national game on Fox. It'll be, you would hope that the first 2 games, Ball State and, Eastern Illinois, you would, have an advantage and get out of those games healthy and get to play a lot of guys. And then you go into week 3 with maybe a lot of positive momentum, guys that have, played some reps and just go in there and give it everything you have.
Absolutely. Soccer will be starting up not too long. Indiana men's program ranked number 2 in the country behind Maryland, who's number 1. So the Big Ten looking pretty strong in soccer again this year, man.
Yeah, no question. And, of course, Jerry Yegley, right? They're going to do the documentary on him this year, which should be pretty interesting.
Yeah, that's actually coming up this month. I think it was at the 21st, maybe, August 21st that comes out.
Yeah, and obviously the local company that is working on it, we visited them a couple of months ago, and I know they're very fired up.
Yeah, Blue Line Media there in Bloomington. So looking forward to seeing that, man. It'd be pretty cool. But well, thanks a lot for joining us, brother. I hope you have a great day heading up to West Lafayette. It's a bad place to have to go to, but you got to do what you got to do, right?
Yeah, well, hopefully beat the traffic. That's going to be the main thing, and it'll be interesting, but maybe on the way back I'll stop somewhere and watch the Jets-Giants preseason game. That should be interesting.
There you go, man. All right, Kevin Brockway from CNHI. Appreciate you, man. Have a great day. We'll be back with more Indiana Sports Beat from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios right after this. Hello, everybody. Jim Coyle from Indiana Sports Beat. When I'm not covering the Hoosiers, you can find me at Bubba's 33 in Clarksville, located on the northeast corner of I-65 at Veterans Parkway. Bubba's 33 has hand-tossed pizzas, bold burgers, and ice-cold beer from a select list of local craft brewers. An incredible food selection, all made fresh daily. Whether you're meeting the team for a post-win meal in the family dining area or meeting friends for happy hour to watch the game on one of Bubba's 50 TVs. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Pizza, burgers, beer.
We all want a winning smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you will get at Reynolds Family Dentistry in Sellersburg. Reynolds Family Dentistry has been serving the dental needs of Hoosier families for over 30 years. Let Doctors Roger and Jay Reynolds take care of your family. Just about 689 South End Avenue in Sellersburg. 812-246-3368. That's Reynolds Family Dentistry, 812-246-3368.
Now that weather has arrived, it's time to hit the links, and there's no better place than the Golf Club at Eagle Point in Bloomington. Voted best golf course by the readers of the Bloomington Herald-Times, the Golf Club at Eagle Point is under new ownership, has new fairways and bunkers, and it's open to the public. When the round's over, there's cold beer and a full menu at the Eagle Point Pub and Bistro. Call 812-824-1100 to make a tee time. That's 812-824-1100. The Golf Club at Eagle Point in Bloomington.
This is AJ Moye.
This is Dan Dockett.
Hey, this is Michael Lord, former Indiana Indiana basketball player.
This is Indiana football coach Tom Allen.
This is Jim Coyle with the Indiana Sports Beat. You can always like and follow us on Facebook. Always follow the show rebroadcast on iTunes, Google Play, iHeartRadio, Spotify. TheDailyHoosier.com is a great place to sign up for each and every day. Or, of course, on 97.7 The Ref in Evansville. For the best recycling and waste removal service, turn to the area's leader, Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling, a homegrown company serving southern Indiana since 1995. Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling serves Floyd, Clark, Harrison, and Washington counties. For excellent service and peace of mind, call Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling today at 812-944-5642. That's 812-944-5642. Keep life sweet with Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling.
I'm Rain Shaddy, and I'm a Hoosier. As a toddler, you could always find me running around in a cream and crimson onesie and a red IU hat reminiscent of those worn during the world-famous William Tell timeout, shouting, "Go Hoosiers!" Like many other alum, I chose to make Bloomington my home. As a civic and alumni leader, I have become very knowledgeable about our community and would love to share my insights with you as your realtor. Find me on Facebook or call or text me, Ryan Shaddy, with FC Tucker Bloomington Realtors at 765-623-9093.
Hi, this is AJ Moye, and you're listening to Indiana Sports Beat with Jim Coyle.
And welcome back to Indiana Sports Beat here on this Friday. Coming to you, of course, as always, from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios. Lots to talk about on the show today, as I've already mentioned. Anthony Leal making his decision today, this later on this evening, early late afternoon sometime, that he's just going to simply send out a message on social media, Twitter and Instagram. He'll probably send it out on both, I'm sure. But the good news, regardless, hopefully he's, for the Hoosier Nation, he's picking the Indiana Hoosiers, but we'll certainly be finding out today. But he's going to be on the show here Monday. So, get your first opportunity to talk to Anthony Leal. Hopefully it's as an Indiana Hoosier. But looking forward to that. Also on the program Monday, we're going to make it a Bloomington South High School day. Jordan Halls will join us as well. He's got to head back across the pond playing professional ball over in Germany. It's about that time to go back. Man, he just got here. We had him on the program when he got back over here, and that was only like less than 2 months ago, it seems like. He'll be joined by Will Sheehy. So looking forward to another great conversation with Jordan Halls, as well as Anthony Leal. So exciting on Monday. But lots to get to before that on the program today. Tom Brew from Sports Illustrated Maven. We helped them kick that off last week. That's a new venture Sports Illustrated is getting into. That's a very cool deal. So congratulations to Tom. Make sure you follow him at Tom Brew Sports on Twitter, and you can find all the information there. Todd Leary on here with us again today, the Toddfather, as is he every Friday. It's a special treat for us, so looking forward to that. More news, of course, we talked about Hoosier Hysteria set October 5th at 4 p.m. We talked about that earlier. Don't forget to bring the canned good, though. Most people do. It's pretty cool, but if you can, it's no big deal either. But, don't not do it just because it's not a big deal. It is a big deal to the people that need that. So let's see. And don't just bring one. Bring 3 if you want. Put it in a bag. You got all them Kroger bags, man, that everybody has 40,000 of stuffed in a cabinet. Fill one of them up with some canned goods. Or just, you may want to double bag that one. But fill it up. Bring it in. So lots to get to today. And then, of course, heading out to football practice today. I think this is practice number 7, I believe. We're allowed to go to 3 a week, which is half of the practices they have, so we get to see half of those. I've been grading the quarterback play on the ones that we get to go to on the 10-point must system, the old boxing scoring manner, in which the winner gets 10 points, second place 9, third place 8 is how that goes. But with that, I've had 3 days of grading these quarterbacks. And it's kind of funny after the third day. The first day, I've talked about this already, but Peyton Ramsey was he was the most polished guy on the day. He had the best day without a doubt that day, and he got the 10 points. Jack Tuttle was second. Michael Penix looked a little rusty on that first day, and then the next day, Penix improved. I moved him up to second, but it was Peyton Ramsey at the bottom, Jack Tuttle at the top. He really had a great day. And then the last day that we got to see, I think it was on Wednesday, that was Michael Penix Day, man. He looked really, really good, so he assumed the top position, the 10 points that goes with that. Peyton Ramsey was the second. Jack Tuttle, he did not have his best day for sure. But the ironic thing is through this grading, all three quarterbacks have won first place. All three quarterbacks have had the last place. So, and they've all obviously been in second place. So it has been an unusually weird, even-keeled deal for these guys. And on the 10-point must system, we're tied at 27 each for all three of them. Now, I think that what is going to happen, and to be honest with you, now if I had to guess, if somebody had to put a gun to my head and said, "Well, do you think it's going to?" I had a friend of mine who's texted me asking me, and it's just a guess. But I think that Penix's talent is going to come through. He was close last year to having this opportunity. They didn't bring him in until the Penn State game. Of course, he gets hurt. We all know that story, but. He has a cannon for an arm. He gives Indiana a dynamic that they simply don't have with Peyton Ramsey. But Peyton Ramsey has got a lot of experience. He's a solid quarterback. He's a smart kid. He's a coach's son. He's been there for 2 years. He knows the guys. So it's not just an easy thing. He's not going to lay over and die. He's not going to hand the position over. They got to take it from him. He's the champion. They've got to take the championship away. You can't tie the champion. You have to beat the champion to unseat him. And Tom Allen has made no bones about that he is the heir apparent, or the incumbent, rather. But if the practice Wednesday is any indication, if it stays like that, which I think it might stay in that order, Michael Penix, Peyton Ramsey, Jack Tuttle, we'll see. But there's a lot of camp left, man. Lot of camp left. A lot of practices. We're 1 week in. Just 1 week into the fall camp. Full pads now, I think 4 days now. But I think after about another week, somebody's going to separate themselves. Whether it's Michael Penix or Peyton Ramsey or Jack Tuttle for that matter. But I think that somebody is going to separate themselves after about another week. They've all had the rounds, like I said. They've all won. They've all looked good. They've all looked bad. But I think now that we've had that week of practice in and they're all getting more comfortable, there's going to be some separation. And if you forced me to make a bet, I'd bet on Penix. But then again, don't count Peyton Ramsey out. They've tried to do it to him for 2 years. He's like the Energizer Bunny. He just keeps on coming. So we'll certainly find out. Looking forward to getting out to practice today. Man, and I'll tell you, the energy has been amazing. When I played high school football, all you cared about was getting through those fall sessions. You just wanted to survive. These guys, it's like game day every day. The energy level is crazy high. Tom Allen, he's up and he's got his team pumped up the whole time. He's got his bullhorn, and he is keeping those guys pumped up. And it is a game day-like atmosphere every practice once they get going, which is a great thing. And the talent, you can see the difference in talent this year in years past. You can see the speed. You can see the strength. You can see the difference, the size, the depth. Man, they got some guys that are just, 77. Remember that number. You won't forget it when you see him on the field. He is a mountain of a man. But I'm looking forward to getting out to practice. Looking forward to seeing when they finally get this quarterback named. So we can move forward with that aspect of it. But the Colts were in action last night as well. Up in Buffalo. They shuffled off to Buffalo. I've used that joke to its nth degree now. I think it's time to put that thing to bed. But there were actually a ton of games in the NFL last night, preseason, week 1. Houston loses to Green Bay 28-26. That's actually a close, good game. You don't see games like that in the preseason very often. Carolina over Chicago 23-13. It was Baltimore blanking Jacksonville 29-0. So there's Teddy touchdown. Well, not Teddy touchdown, but Lamar. How are things going with him? I didn't watch that game. I didn't even check the stats to see how that went. But Philadelphia loses to Tennessee. That's where our Jordan Howard is. That's where Nate Sudfeld is. So have to check those statistics out and see who did what. It was actually a good and a bad night for Nate Sudfeld with Philadelphia in a loss to the Titans last night. They lose 27-10, but Nate Sudfeld had a nice night. He was 10 of 18, 177 yards and a touchdown, a 75-yard bomb to Mark and Michael. That happened before the bad news, which is he, after a personal foul, he come off the ground with an injured arm and immediately went to the sideline, was in an air cast, and taken off, and so he did not return. Hopefully that's not something that's going to be terribly serious. If it is, hopefully it's something he can get back from quickly since it's early in the season. You know, he's replacing Nick Foles, the 2018 Super Bowl MVP. But hopefully Nate Sudfeld is going to come out of that okay, because, man, he looked pretty good in the game. Those are solid numbers. Jordan Howard also on the Philadelphia Eagles from Indiana. Don't know that he played last night. Philadelphia only had 37 rushing yards, and I know their leading rusher had 11 of those yards. So if he did, it didn't do much. But there's the deal with those guys, and hopefully, like I said, that Nate Sudfeld is going to be okay. Miami, they beat Atlanta 34-27. New England, big all over Detroit 31-3. It was Cleveland knocking off Washington 30-10. There's your boy. Baker Mayfield, see what he can get done this year. The Giants over the Jets 31-22, and Buffalo shuffled off of Indianapolis 24-16. Of course, Andrew Luck is not playing because of that injured calf. You had a big high-scoring game out in Seattle as they lose to Denver 6-3, unless it's in the bottom of the ninth still. And then Arizona and the Chargers, they played last night. I don't only see that score, so I'm not sure that was. That Denver-Seattle score was not completed score. I forgot. I looked at that early. But a lot of football going on, and a lot of college football coming up next as well, so we're looking forward to that. I cannot wait to get it started. We're just weeks away from that. And then, of course, today, Anthony Leo making his decision. Don't forget Deontay Craig. That's another big decision that's coming out. On the football side, he goes to Culver Academy. He's a teammate from Trey Galloway on the state championship team. He's been given the opportunity, the offer to walk on the IU basketball team. His recruitment is down to Indiana and Iowa. Iowa has not matched that offer of being able to walk onto the basketball team. So that may be enough to sway him to Indiana. And let me tell you, he's only a 3-star. Only a 3-star. He's a 3-star. He's a pretty high 3-star. Very similar to Trey Galloway. Very high 3-star. But this guy is somebody that can come in and make a difference. And he's a defensive lineman. And I think it's, man, that would be a really, really good get for Tom Allen. That would just go along with all the talent he's been bringing in. So hopefully that will continue for the Hoosiers in that vein. Here's an off-the-wall story for you. If you're not old enough to remember this, you won't have a clue what I'm talking about. But the funny thing is, this woman's name comes up in my head all the time. I say this for whatever, it is as a metaphor when we're out playing golf or whatever, but Rosie Ruiz, in 1980, the Boston Marathon, she wins the Boston Marathon, stuns everybody, because nobody knew who she was. They never saw her before. Well, what happens? She joins the marathon late in the race, and I think she may have started at least, but then she took a shortcut, basically, and joined the race at the end to win it in a then record time. But the male winner was sitting next to her at the time, and he's like, he didn't have a clue who she was. The whole thing was weird. It was funny. Not really funny, but it is now when you think back on it. But anyway, so they quickly do an investigation, and I think some students come forward and said they saw her join the race at a certain point. So she basically was found out. She never admitted to that. She never admitted that she cheated in the Boston Marathon. But it gets even better. To get into the Boston Marathon, you have to have a qualifying time, which is, world class. Well, the year before that, in 1979, she's running the New York Marathon. She took the subway during the race. So she was a master cheater at marathons, and so she cheated her way through the New York Marathon to get a qualifying time for Boston, of which she again cheats and wins. You got to give her credit for creativity, but that was not her only transgressions in life. In 1982, she was arrested for stealing over $60,000 from her employer, and 3 years later, she was put on probation for cocaine trafficking, rather. But she's died at 66 years of age. But Rosie Ruiz, one of the most infamous names in sports history. If you don't know it, look it up. It's a weird story, man. Weird but true. Weird but true. But she has passed away. So, but the weird thing is that she never admitted it. And the lady that ended up winning it, they brought her back a week later and, feted her with the ceremony, the wreath. But they had to give her a replica medal because Rosie Ruiz never gave the winning medal back. Wow, where is that medal now? You think that thing might be worth $1 just because of the weird story? Could be, man. But we got a lot more coming up here on the Indiana Sports Beat from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios. On the show today, Tom Brew from Sports Illustrated Maven platform. Also, Todd Leary's going to join us. We got a ton to talk about. Anthony Lee, of course, all that good stuff. Stay tuned. We got a lot more coming up here on the beat. Coming back to the Golf Club Eagle Point Studios right after this.
Hello, everybody. Jim Coyle from Indiana Sports Beat. When I'm not covering the Hoosiers, you can find me at Bubba's 33 in Clarksville, located on the northeast corner of I-65 at Veterans Parkway. Bubba's 33 has hand-tossed pizzas, bold burgers, and ice-cold beer from a select list of local craft brewers. An incredible food selection, all made fresh daily. Whether you're meeting the team for that post-win meal in the family dining area or meeting friends for happy hour to watch the game on one of Bubba's 50 TVs. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Pizza, burgers, beer.
We all want a winning smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you will get at Reynolds Family Dentistry in Sellersburg. Reynolds Family Dentistry has been serving the dental needs of Hoosier families for over 30 years. Let Doctors Roger and Jay Reynolds take care of your family. Just off of I-65 at 809 South Indiana Avenue in Sellersburg. Call 812-246-3368. That's Reynolds Family Dentistry, 812-246-3368.
Now that warm weather has arrived, it's time to hit the links, and there's no better place than the Golf Club at Eagle Point in Bloomington. Voted best golf course by the readers of the Bloomington Herald-Times, the Golf Club at Eagle Point is under new ownership, has new fairways and bunkers, and it's open to the public. When the round's over, there's cold beer and a full menu at the Eagle Point Pub and Bistro. Call 812-824-1100 to make a tee time. That's 812-824-1100. The Golf Club at Eagle Point in Bloomington.
This is A.J. Moyer.
This is Dan Dockett.
Hey, this is Michael Lord, former Indiana basketball player.
This is Indiana football coach Tom Allen.
This is Jim Coyle with the Indiana Sports Beat. You can always like and follow us on Facebook. Always follow the show rebroadcast on iTunes, Google Play, iHeartRadio, Spotify. TheDailyHoosier.com is a great place to sign up for each and every day. Or, of course, on 97.7 The Ref in Evansville. For the best recycling and waste removal service, turn to the area's leader, Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling, a homegrown company serving southern Indiana since 1995. Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling serves Floyd, Clark, Harrison, and Washington counties. For excellent service and peace of mind, call Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling today at 812-944-5642. That's 812-944-5642. Keep life sweet with Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling.
I'm Rain Shaddy, and I'm a Hoosier. As a toddler, you could always find me running around in a cream and crimson onesie and a red IU hat reminiscent of those worn during the world-famous William Tell timeout, shouting, "Go Hoosiers!" Like many other alum, I chose to make Bloomington my home. As a civic and alumni leader, I have become very knowledgeable about our community and would love to share my insights with you as your realtor. Find me on Facebook or call or text me, Ryan Shaddy, with FC Tucker Bloomington Realtors at 765-623-9093.
This is former Indiana basketball player Greg Green. Keep up with the Hoosiers on the Indiana Sports Beat with Jim Coyle.
This hour is brought to you by Sweetland Waste and Removal Service, a homegrown company serving southern Indiana since 1995.
Well, we're coming to your city. Gonna play our guitars and sing you a country song. We'll all be flying higher than a jetliner. And if you want a little bang in your yin-yang, come along. Well,
Hey, the gang's all here. Welcome to Indiana Sports Beat, of course, coming to you from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios here on this Friday, August 8th, TGIF. The Toddfather is going to be with us today. As always, Todd Leary, former IU great, also on the show. Tom Brew from Sports Illustrated Maven platform. We look forward to talking to Tom. We kicked off that new Sports Illustrated Maven deal last week. He'll be back with us to talk more about some IU basketball, IU football. Great conversation with Todd Leary, of course, as we always have. Lots of news coming out today. If you were with us in the first hour, Anthony Leal, of course, making his decision today on where he will be playing college basketball. That's going to be between Stanford and Indiana. Most people think that Indiana has the inside track on that. I'm one of them. I definitely would be shocked to see him go elsewhere, mainly because it's just too far away for the family to go to, and I think that the draw to Indiana is going to be too great, but we'll get into that more with Tom Brew and with Todd Leary later on. But lots to talk about also on the football side. Deontay Craig not making his decision today necessarily. We don't know when that one's coming, so but we'll keep you up to breast on that. If you were with us in the first hour, you heard me tell the story about Rosie Ruiz, who just died, but at 66. But she was the infamous Boston Marathon cheater. Go back and listen to that if you have a chance. We don't have time to redo that, but just a weird story, man. But the NFL kicked off last night, preseason. The Colts were in action. They lost. No Andrew Luck for them, but also Philadelphia. They lose to the Titans, and boy, they lost more than that. Nate Sudfeld, the former Indiana Hoosier quarterback, had a great night, 10 of 18, 177 yards, a 75-yard bomb touchdown, but he goes down with an arm injury after a personal foul was taken off the field in an arm cast, so hope he does well. No word on Jordan Howard if he played. They only had 37 yards rushing, and so I don't know that if he did play, he didn't get the ball much, but lots to get to on the program, man, with Tom Brew and Todd Leary. We're going to have a big one, so we're going to cut this first segment a little short so we can get to those guys. We'll be heading out to practice today as fall camp continues for the Hoosiers. I believe this is day 7 of fall camp, so the 7th practice. They've been in pads now for 4 days. We get to go to half of those, so we're looking forward to getting out there for that and watching as this quarterback battle continues to brew and these guys get better each and every day. It's going to be great to watch them
develop as this season gets closer and closer to kicking off, which takes place in Indianapolis on August 31st against the Ball State Cardinals, Lucas Oil Stadium. Looking forward to that. A lot of sports getting ready to kick off here. Men's soccer, women's soccer. As a matter of fact, the women's soccer program next week, I think is on a Wednesday, is the 16th, but it is a Wednesday, I'm pretty sure. I'm going to be broadcasting from Bill Armstrong Stadium as the women's soccer program kicks their season off. So we'll be doing our broadcast out there. Then later in the month, August 30th, the day before Indiana plays on Ball State up in Indianapolis, the volleyball program is going to kick their season off, and they're going to the grand opening to Wilkinson Hall. We're going to be broadcasting from there on that. So we got tons coming up for you. Nothing but IU coverage, man. You know where to go. Best guest, continued IU coverage every day, all IU. That's all we do, man. So you know where to turn to. Indiana Sports Beat, of course. Big news came out of Bloomington yesterday as the dates for the Hoosier Hysteria has been set. Saturday, October 5th at 4 p.m. Bring canned goods, please. And you know what? Don't just bring one. Grab you one of those plastic Kroger bags that you got 18,000 of them in the cabinet somewhere. Double bag it and throw you 4 or 5 cans in there. Stuff you don't want, man. People can use that. The men's and women's programs will be on display that day. Starts at 4 p.m. Coach Archie Miller's in his 3rd season with the Indiana Hoosiers, and of course, Terry Moore in her 6th year. Big things expected for that women's program this year. They're expected to make the NCAA tournament. Man, they had a great run the last couple of years. It's been building and building, and they're going to be better yet this year. So we look forward to following them and see how they do. But Hoosier Hysteria, always fun. Man, we haven't even started football season yet, but it's time for Hoosier Hysteria. It's less than 2 months away, so we got that coming up too. But we got a ton coming up for you here on Indiana Sports Beat today. No sense of waiting any longer. We need to get to it, so let's take a quick break. From the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios, we're back with more Indiana Sports Beat and Tom Brew right after this.
Oh, yes, I can. Come on, linger a while. Yes, I can deliver. You better believe it.
Hello, everybody. Jim Coyle from Indiana Sports Beat. When I'm not covering the Hoosiers, you can find me at Bubba's 33 in Clarksville, located on the northeast corner of I-65 at Veterans Parkway. Bubba's 33 has hand-tossed pizzas, bold burgers, and ice-cold beer from a select list of local craft brewers. An incredible food selection, all made fresh daily. Whether you're meeting the team for that post-win meal in the family dining area or meeting friends for happy hour to watch the game on one of Bubba's 50 TVs. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Pizza, burgers, beer.
We all want a winning smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you will get at Reynolds Family Dentistry in Sellersburg. Reynolds Family Dentistry has been serving the dental needs of Hoosier families for over 30 years. Let Doctors Roger and Jay Reynolds take care of your family. Just off of I-65 at 809 South Indiana Avenue in Sellersburg. Call 812-246-3368. That's Reynolds Family Dentistry, 812-246-3368.
Now that warm weather has arrived, it's time to hit the links, and there's no better place than the Golf Club at Eagle Point in Bloomington. Voted best golf course by the readers of the Bloomington Herald-Times, the Golf Club at Eagle Point is under new ownership, has new fairways and bunkers, and it's open to the public. When the round's over, there's cold beer and a full menu at the Eagle Point Pub and Bistro. Call 812-824-1100 to make a tee time. That's 812-824-1100. The Golf Club at Eagle Point in Bloomington.
This is A.J. Moyer.
This is Dan Dockett.
Hey, this is Michael Lewis, former Indiana basketball player.
This is Indiana football coach Tom Allen.
This is Jim Coyle with the Indiana Sports Beat. You can always like and follow us on Facebook. Always follow the show rebroadcast on iTunes, Google Play, iHeartRadio, Spotify. TheDailyHoosier.com is a great place to sign up for each and every day. Or, of course, on 97.7 The Ref in Evansville. For the best recycling and waste removal service, turn to the area's leader, Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling, a homegrown company serving southern Indiana since 1995. Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling serves Floyd, Clark, Harrison, and Washington counties. For excellent service and peace of mind, call Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling today at 812-944-5642. That's 812-944-5642. 944-5642. Keep life sweet with Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling.
I'm Rain Shaddy, and I'm a Hoosier. As a toddler, you could always find me running around in a cream and crimson onesie and a red IU hat reminiscent of those worn during the world-famous William Tell timeout, shouting, "Go Hoosiers!" Like many other alum, I chose to make Bloomington my home. As a civic and alumni leader, I have become very knowledgeable about our community and would love to share my insights with you as your realtor. Find me on Facebook or call or text me, Ryan Shaddy, with FC Tucker Bloomington Realtors at 765-623-9093.
This is former Indiana basketball player Brian Evans, and you're listening to Indiana Sports Beat with Jim Coyle.
Today's guest is brought to you by Reynolds Family Dentistry of Sellersburg. You need $1 million smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you'll get with Reynolds Family Dentistry. Welcome back to Indiana Sports Beat, of course, coming to you from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios. Jim Coyle with you as always. Now we're joined by a good friend of the show, Tom Brew. We introduced him last week, the new Sports Illustrated Maven network. Of course, Tom Brew's been around IU for a long, long time, but now with a new platform, Sports Illustrated Maven, covering the Hoosiers. Tom, how's it going?
Going great, Jim. Another first full week in the book on the website, and off to a good start. Lots of nice positive feedback so far, and we got some big news today that we're getting even closer and closer to melding it right into the SI.com web pages as well. So a lot of big news coming. Hopefully by September 1st, we'll have that part of it too, which would be awesome, because then all that Sports Illustrated content that's Indiana related, both currently and in the past, will all be easily accessible with a click of a button, which is going to be great.
Yeah, that's a cool deal, man, being able to weld that, because obviously Sports Illustrated, one of the most well-known, if not the most well-known sports coverage and all of athletic communication. They've been around forever, and probably the biggest name that you ever hear from. Everybody wanted to be a Sports Illustrated cover person.
That's exactly right, and that's one of the things that that we'll be able to do too at some point is to have more of that, like on the site when we do some flashback stuff. We can access a lot of those covers and old pictures from days gone by as well. So I'm excited about all that that's coming out. This is all when Maven bought Sports Illustrated and operates the digital platform for them, and also the print version as well. When that happened, and then we merged these sites, and then they started to add on quickly and bringing me on board to do Indiana. It's just all coming together very, very quickly, and good and bad. We had a little technical glitch today, but got it all cleared up, so we'll be ready to roll tomorrow, because Friday's going to be, today, Friday, it's here now, is going to be a busy, good, positive day for Indiana, I think. I got a good feeling about this being a happy Friday.
Yeah, a lot of hopefully the happiest news, of course, that you're referring to is Anthony Leal's making his decision today, later on, sometime in the afternoon, and he's doing it the old-fashioned way, man. He's not sitting at a table. I was talking with Todd Leary about this off the air. And, he's not sitting at a table with hats and all this. He's just going to send a message out.
Yeah, well, I guess, yeah. Announcing it on social media is old-fashioned, I guess, now. So,
yeah, that's right.
yeah. Like in the old, to me, like the old days was, one random newspaper reporter would get to write about it, or one random radio guy would get to have him on the air to announce it, and that was it. And and it's without much fanfare, but that's okay. It's very interesting that he's choosing to do it that way. It's but that's all good, and everybody's sort of figuring that he's picking Indiana just because he's a Bloomington kid and everything that's gone on, and I'm assuming that's what's going to happen, and which is it surprises me a little bit that he's not having more of a public forum, but that's okay. It's the kid's choice and the family's choice, and they get to do it whatever way they want, and I'm just looking forward to the response and the the announcement. And like I said, hopefully it'll be good news for Indiana fans because I don't profess to know the kid well yet, but I'm going to certainly catch up quickly on him. But, from what I've seen and what I've done and talking to people this week about him, he's just a great kid, great talent. And what I really like the most is that his level of improvement, in the past 12 to 24 months has just been incredible. And hopefully that rise will continue in an Indiana uniform.
Yeah, I've been able to talk to Anthony quite a few times, and the one thing that I have quickly gathered, he's just a truly, sincerely humble kid. He's not that he doesn't like the attention, but he's not in it for that, and that's, I think, probably the reason behind not doing a more public announcement, but he's just being very humble about it. Him and Trey Galloway both. Trey Galloway did the same thing, and he has come across the same way to me, very level-headed, mature, probably definitely more mature than I was at that age, but more mature than some are.
And to agree with, from my own perspective as well, I think, and this is not meant to be a criticism of him at all, but I think where I've seen kids like him in the past sort of be in this boat was that, I'm not necessarily sure that, say, 2 years ago, he thought that he would be an Indiana recruit or would be a kid who was, on the wish list of 40, 50, colleges, Big Ten, Big East, ACC, right on down the line, where I'm not sure he entirely thought that was going to be a given, so he put in the work, and he got better and he got better and he got better. And now all of a sudden here he is, number one ranked player in the state of Indiana, and everybody wants him. And, so I think, like you mentioned about him being humble about that, it's because he didn't take any of this for granted. He just, he put in the work to get where he is today. And that's, and it's easy to say with him being a Bloomington kid, but I think he epitomizes the ultimate in what most Indiana fans want in an Indiana player, because he's an Indiana kid. He's got a tremendous work ethic, and he's got what looks to be like a tremendous basketball IQ too. And obviously, playing at Bloomington South for Coach Holmes, his basketball IQ is going to be high, and it's just like all of those things are what make him a special kid. And certainly I think, Indiana always has attachment to those Bloomington kids anyway, from Jordan Holes, all the way down the line to Jared Jeffries and all of them. And, so it's, obviously we're not, hopefully we're not putting any carts before any horses, but I'm certainly looking forward to him letting us all know later today on Friday afternoon that he's going to be a Hoosier.
Yep, I think it's going to be a good day. Like you said, I agree with you. I think it's headed in that direction. He's not the only kid that is looking to make a commitment, and hopefully Indiana is hoping that they get named on that one as well, but it's on a different field, the football field. Deontay Craig is a three-star from Culver Academy who played with Trey Galloway on that state championship team together, but he's a big defensive end, a big defensive lineman that is down to Indiana and Iowa, and he would be a huge get for Indiana. This kid is really athletic, but he also has the offer from Indiana to walk on to the basketball team if he likes, and he does not have that offer from Iowa. I think that may be the deciding factor, but man, that would be a great get for Tom Allen.
Well, I think it would be, absolutely, and it sort of continues that trend that's gone on here in the last couple of years of raising the bar for the talent level that comes in for the football team. And they've done a really, really good job of that. And, I've been talking to people, assistant coaches and players and such, about some of that recruiting philosophy. And I tell you what, you can't get better players unless you go out and get after them and, really establish some relationships. And I give a lot of credit to Tom Allen and his assistant coaches for really working hard at establishing these relationships with players and coaches, not only around the state, but, around the country as well in some important areas, so that something, a kid like Deontay Craig would not have come to Indiana 3 or 4 or 5 years ago, and to sort of raise that level of talent coming in, it helps. Now, obviously, we're not talking about, the Alabamas and the Ohio States and the Clemsons of the world as the level they're recruiting at. But the level Indiana is recruiting at now compared to where they were, it's like night and day. It really is, and they're winning more of the recruiting battles than they're losing, which, I can clearly remember, many times, 5, 10, 15 years ago where Indiana would have a target list of 20 kids they really wanted, and maybe they'd get 2 or 3. Well, now it seems like, maybe that's more like half, which in the recruiting is great. It seems like not only are they getting the type of players they want, but they're starting to get a lot of them, and it's like, I think we've started to be able to see that a little bit in being able, when we're out of practice, Jim, watching everything. It's like, it used to be when the 2s were out there, you could see a noticeable, obvious drop-off from when the 1s were out there, and that's not necessarily the case anymore. So I think, starting to see some depth get built up, that's absolutely a reward of the amount of great recruiting they've done here in the last 3 years.
Yeah, the fact that Deontay Craig's recruitment is down to Indiana and Iowa or some of the other guys that they pulled in this year, that they spurned the likes of Michigan and Michigan State. When you're beating those kind of programs, you're getting talent, and that has not been the case for Indiana. Their recruits were not looking past Iowas and Michigans and Michigan States to come to Indiana before. And Tom Allen is doing it, and he's doing it exactly how you just said, by relationships, because it's not on winning records just yet. So he has done an unbelievable job of doing that strictly by relationship. But you can see that on the field, like you just said. I mean, the level of play, the energy is just, it's been game-like. Every practice I've been to, the energy is high. Tom Allen is high. It's just really bouncing, and it's just a different looking team.
Absolutely, and obviously, a line that I used in one of my stories earlier was, I've always been one of my favorites forever this time of year. Optimism is undefeated in August. And it's, everybody feels good about their team. Everybody feels good about their team in August. And but there's a lot of reasons to feel good about this team when you're close to it. And like people from afar, in fact, that was one of the things I'm kind of getting ready to have a little fun with in writing about this weekend is looking at some of the prognostications of people around the country about this Indiana team. And one of my former colleagues did a thing recently, and he predicted them to go 4-8. With only one Big Ten win, over Rutgers, and I'm, it's like, come on, it's like, I just can't see that happening at all. But I kind of like shouted out to him, and I said, how many big Indiana games did you actually watch last year from beginning to end? And he admitted none. He's just kind of going by what's going by, and it's, and that's, that outside perspective still is that. That Indiana football, is, got a long way to go, and and that may be true, but it's, I think when you're around it as much as we are and see what we see, we feel like this team can take the next step now. Now, certainly there's still a lot of questions to be answered about this team, but when I watch a lot of those guys on defense fly around, I think, wow, there's a ton of talent on that group, and but there's still holes to fill, and watching Stevie Scott, break some runs yesterday in practice, when it was ones on ones and the defense was yapping and fired up and, wanting to knock some people down, and he was just destroying them, back-to-back plays. And it's just, it's something special there about that kid. And, and I love the wide receivers on this team, and, but obviously the big question mark at quarterback and what's going to happen, who's going to win it. And then when they do, how are they going to play? It's just, that's, so, I mean, I can see it, I guess, from an outside perspective, they're saying, hey, A, you're Indiana, and B, you don't even have a quarterback, and it's like, well, maybe that's true, but I don't think it is. It's, like we talked about with some of the coaches, at practice yesterday, it's like, it's not like you don't have a quarterback. They can win with any of these guys. So I'm still real curious to see who winds up winning that battle, because, being able to watch closely, at practice and some of their scrimmages and 7-on-7 drills, it's they've looked good. Peyton Ramsey has made some really nice throws, and he's done some nice work especially Monday and Wednesday, both in like 2-minute situations where he made some big throws and moved the team right down the field quickly. And Michael Penix Jr.'s been awesome too. And the Tuttle kid, he's kind of like the third name mentioned all the time in there. But when you watch him out there on the field, man, that kid's got an arm too, and he can make some throws. So going to be curious to see how all this is going to play out.
Yeah, it's kind of funny, the quarterback situation. We get to see about half the practices. Half the practices are open, and then the other half are not. So of the ones that we've been able to see, from the very beginning, I said, all right, I'm going to grade these quarterbacks each day that I see them, because that's how the coaches have said that they're going to do this. They're going to look at every play, every day, and everything's going to be graded. So I'm like, all right, I'm just going to do it on the 10-point must system. So on the first practice, Peyton Ramsey was the winner. He looked the most polished, and Jack Tuttle, I thought, actually looked better that day, and then Michael Penix. Then the next day, the next time, it was different. It was Jack Tuttle had the best day, and Peyton Ramsey had the worst day, and Michael Penix was in the middle. Then the next time, Penix, I thought, was the best of the bunch, and Tuttle was at the bottom. So every one of them in my grading has had the best day, and every one of them has had the worst day, and we're tied at 27 after 3 practices with those quarterbacks.
Well, and it doesn't surprise me one bit that you say that, Jim, because I think one of the reasons why Tom Allen and Kalen DeBoer and all the guys talk about why they are grading every single play, because that's really, truly how they're going to have to make a decision, because it's not like anyone is just standing out. It's obviously there's depth at running back, but we know who the starter is going to be, and we know it's obvious.
Right.
With this quarterback thing, it's like you said, they've all looked good more than they've not, and some days they've looked better than others, and so they have to evaluate every last little bit of it, and and then of course they've really made a point too, which I think it's sort of their way of maybe hedging their bet a little bit, is they do bring it up a lot about how much they're going to rely on the quarterback sort of winning the team and leading the room and being that guy that everybody's ready to rally around. And, when I hear that sort of makes me think that the safest choice is the Peyton Ramsey choice, and the people, because he's already played and that he can win, he can win over the team. So we'll have to see, but I definitely think they're being very, very fair about it being an open competition, because all 3 of them have gotten good looks with the ones, at times when they needed it. And like I said, it helps too. Like I said before, that when the 2s are as good as they've become, that when you're out there 2s versus 2s, you still got a lot of talent on the field, so you can really still do a lot of really good evaluating, which isn't always the case. So it's, they're definitely getting plenty of good looks at everybody. And, and I would think, hopefully, I would think by this time next week we'll probably have a decision.
Yeah, I think it's going to make itself apparent in about another week or so as well. I think the same thing, and it would sure be nice. Jerry DiNardo made a point when they were here with the Big Ten bus the other night. Afterwards, I saw them on the show that they were doing, and he said, as a coach, he would prefer that they had the quarterback sooner rather than later, because you want that guy taking as many snaps with that number 1 team heading into that first game, as opposed to just getting that on the last week.
Yeah, I agree, because a lot of times too, training camp gets so long, and you wear guys out a little bit, and I think they're trying to do a pretty good job of that, of keeping guys fresh while still getting in all the work. But when it comes to sort of that last week of preparation prior to the Ball State game, a lot of that then becomes too, a 2-pronged thing of A, getting ready specifically for a Ball State team, and B, kind of like getting your legs back, and being fresh, so that when Saturday rolls around, you're not worn out. That's always a challenge of coaches, is you can't look at really the entire month of August as a preseason camp, because it's really, I think by the end of next week, all those decisions need to be made, and then you're not necessarily backing off, but you definitely have reached the point when it comes game week, you're not going to want to just drive guys into the ground and have them dead exhausted every day. So I think that preparation starts, and we basically, for the most part, here we are on Friday, and I would think we got another week, maybe 8, 9, 10 days tops of hard practices to make all these decisions.
Absolutely. Tom, you got anything coming out on the site that the people need to find?
Well, I think obviously we'll take care of the good basketball stuff tomorrow. I'm looking forward to that, and got a little bit going there. Was a little surprised, one little nugget of the research there. I was really surprised that with Anthony being the number one player ranked in the state of Indiana as a 4-star recruit, there are only 2 4-star recruits in Indiana this year on the 24/7 rankings, and obviously no 5-stars either. And it's and then we look at Trey Galloway as a 3-star, but a high 3. Indiana will have 2 of the top 5 ranked in that class. So we'll take a little bit of look at that with the basketball, and then got a big working on a nice big Stevie Scott profile that will probably launch tomorrow, and then having some fun over the weekend, like I said, with the opinion on some outsiders on what they're thinking about with the team, and just sort of taking them to task, and then some big stuff next week. We're putting some bows on right now. So every day we go, it's a little bit better, and looking forward to getting it rolling big time, and appreciate the response so far. And Jim, I appreciate you having me on.
Oh, man, every time. I can't wait to do it every week. Look forward to it. Appreciate you. And I think I'm not sure if you've played any of the interviews that we've done, the IU interviews, but we've had some good guys on this week, so it's been a great week for us as well.
I have, and we're looking forward to the little technical glitch we talked about earlier today is what's stopping me from getting some of those up. So, I'm looking forward on my site to be able to post every one of your IU interviews when they happen as well. So we're looking forward to that and working well together, Jim, in many, many ways. It's going to be good.
Absolutely. Appreciate you. Make sure you check it out. What's the address they need to find right now?
It's mavensports.io/Indiana.
And you can find that on our site as well. We have that information, or you can find Tom on Twitter at Tom Brew, and or you find it on mine. You can see it on there as well.
Yep, Tom Brew Sports on Twitter, and follow me on Facebook as well too, if you so like. And we'll be we're on August. Let me see, what day is today? The August 24th. We'll be launching a Facebook fan page as well to go along with it, and we'll be able to start to post some of the we do some more videos and some on-site things, and the podcast will be ready to launch in the first week in September. So lots of good stuff coming.
Absolutely, looking forward to it. Thank you so much, Tom Brew. We appreciate you, man. Have a great weekend.
All right, everybody, enjoy their Friday in Hoosier Land.
I hear you. That's it. Go to Tom Brew. We got a lot more coming back here on the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios. Indiana Sports Beat back with more right after this.
Hello, everybody. Jim Coyle from Indiana Sports Beat. When I'm not covering the Hoosiers, you can find me at Bubba's 33 in Clarksville, located on the northeast corner of I-65 at Veterans Parkway. Bubba's 33 has hand-tossed pizzas, bold burgers, and ice-cold beer from a select list of local craft brewers. An incredible food selection, all made fresh daily. Whether you're meeting the team for that post-win meal in the family dining area or meeting friends for happy hour to watch the game on one of Bubba's 50 TVs. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville.
pizza, burgers, beer.
We all want a winning smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you will get at Reynolds Family Dentistry in Sellersburg. Reynolds Family Dentistry has been serving the dental needs of your family for over 30 years. Let Doctors Roger and Jay Reynolds take care of your family. Just off of I-65 at 809 South Indiana Avenue in Sellersburg. Call 812-246-3368. That's Reynolds Family Dentistry, 812-246-3368.
Now that warm weather has arrived, it's time to hit the links, and there's no better place than the golf club at Eagle Point in Bloomington. Voted best golf course by the readers of the Bloomington Herald-Times, the golf club at Eagle Point is under new ownership, has new fairways and bunkers, and it's open to the public. When the round's over, there's cold beer and a full menu at the Eagle Point Pub and Bistro. Call 812-824-1100 to make a tee time. That's 812-824-1100. The golf club at Eagle Point in Bloomington.
This is AJ Moye.
This is Dan Dockett.
Hey, this is Michael Lord, former Indiana basketball player.
This is Indiana football coach Tom Allen.
This is Jim Coyle with the Indiana Sports Beat. You can always like and follow us on Facebook. Always follow the show rebroadcast on iTunes, Google Play, iHeartRadio, Spotify. TheDailyHoosier.com is a great place to sign up for each and every day. Or, of course, on 97.7 The Ref in Evansville. For the best recycling and waste removal service, turn to the area's leader, Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling, a homegrown company serving southern Indiana since 1995. Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling serves Floyd, Clark, Harrison, and Washington counties. For excellent service and peace of mind, call Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling today at 812-944-5642. That's 812-944-5642. Keep life sweet with Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling.
I'm Rain Shaddy, and I'm a Hoosier. As a toddler, you could always find me running around in a cream and crimson onesie and a red IU hat reminiscent of those worn during the world-famous William Tell timeout, shouting, "Go Hoosiers!" Like many other alum, I chose to make Bloomington my home. As a civic and alumni leader, I have become very knowledgeable about our community and would love to share my insights with you as your realtor. Find me on Facebook or call or text me, Ryan Shaddy, with FC Tucker Bloomington Realtors at 765-623-9093.
This is former Indiana basketball player Greg Green. Keep up with the Hoosiers on Indiana Sports Beat with Jim Coyle.
Today's guest is brought to you by Bubba's 33 in Clarksville, with hand-tossed pizzas, bold burgers, and ice-cold beer. Pizza, burgers, beer. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Welcome back to Indiana Sports Beat, of course, coming to you from the golf club at Eagle Point Studios here on this Friday TGIF. And now we welcome the Toddfather himself, Todd Leary. Todd, how are you, brother?
I'm great. How are you doing today?
I cannot complain. It doesn't do any good. Nobody wants to listen to it.
Yeah, I understand that.
I need somebody to do some music there for me. Try to make it seem funny at least. Man, I know you've been working long and hard. It's been a long summer. How's it been going?
It's great. Everything has been terrific. Got the move all completed. I think I told you that last week. And enjoying Evansville and just trying to get settled in a little bit.
Yeah, it takes a while. At least the weather's been cooperative, man. It's not. There's been no humidity. At least around here, it hasn't been humid, which is crazy for this time of year.
Yeah, for the move, we couldn't have asked for better weather. So it's everything's been great, and I love the heat, so I don't mind it being hot.
Yeah, I take the heat over the cold anytime, man, all the time. But football season's almost upon us. Fall camp's going on up at IU. When you were in school, how much involvement did you have with going to football games and things like that, or were you guys too busy?
Coach Knight always he always kind of made a point of having practice at the time when just as soon as we got done, it was about game time. So we would make the games occasionally, but I think he intentionally kind of planned practices so that we couldn't pre-game a whole lot out there. So we got escorted into most of the games or whenever you wanted to go, but we generally had practice at a time when a lot of other people were having fun.
Well, that's never fun, but I guess you got to do what you got to do. But how are you a football fan yourself in general, or is that something you don't follow?
I am a football fan. I love watching it on TV, and my middle son was a big football player at Carmel High School, so we have enjoyed that over the years. But yeah, we are our households are big football fans.
Looking forward to it, man. I'm ready for it. The Colts played last night up in they shuffled off to Buffalo. I don't remember how that game ended up, but the preseason is among us. Andrew Luck, of course, he's dealing with the calf injury or some stuff, so he's not playing. So no big deal anyway. But other than that,
if he wasn't dealing with an injury, he wouldn't be playing anyway. So
I was going to say it's a preseason game. I'm like, you better not blink. He may walk across the field or something, but that's the only glimpse you're going to have of him.
Yep, no doubt.
It's crazy. And then, of course, on the basketball side, big news coming up for Indiana today. Anthony Leal, the Bloomington South product, is making his decision. It's down to Stanford and Indiana. And to me, I'm pretty confident he'll be choosing Indiana. But he's not, and you'll love this, Todd. He's not doing any of this fancy press conference and have the hats out there and all that stuff. He's just going to send a message out.
Yep, I'm a big fan of that. But, this is luckily for me, this is a decision I never had to make because Stanford would have never accepted me. So I didn't have to rule them out very quickly. But yeah, just being the hometown, you would assume that Indiana has the advantage in that situation. But you never know. I mean, a kid that has the ability and drive to want to have that kind of academic background and have that in his future. I mean, you just never know if that's something that's very important to him, and that they obviously offer something that very few schools can do.
Yeah, well, I mean, Stanford is one of the great universities in our country. I think they have more NCAA championships than any other school in the NCAA, like 122. It's crazy. And obviously the academics.
That's probably just because of Tiger.
There are a bunch. Yeah, most of them are in sports like golf and water polo or whatever, but who knows? But academics, obviously. But Indiana has a pretty damn good school, and the Kelley School of Business, I think it does okay. So I don't think there's going to be much of a drop off in academics, and it's a lot easier than for the Leals to drive into Bloomington Assembly Hall rather than going across the country to California. So I'm pretty confident he's probably going to choose Indiana, and I think it's going to be a good get for him.
It definitely would be a good get. And like you said, I hope that you're right. I hope that plays a big factor in it. And if it does, then yeah, Indiana would be the obvious choice for him. But we'll all know here in a little bit, and it's exciting that Indiana's down to that point. That's a kid that you want to get a lot of Indiana kids, but I mean this one is as close as you can get to the campus. So this would be a great one for Indiana to keep at home.
Yeah, and over the years, though, there has not been that many kids that have scholarship players that have come from Bloomington and played for IU. There's been, obviously, Jordan Hulls, and if Anthony Leal comes, and Jared Jeffries went to North, and your former teammate Pat Knight went to North. But I can't think of a lot of other guys from the Bloomington schools that actually played for IU.
Yeah, I know Chris Lawson was a recruit from Bloomington South also, and he played a couple of years with us. And it's difficult to have that kind of pressure and be recruiting wise when coaches are flying all over creation to watch guys play and evaluate them and stuff like that. I mean, when you're from Bloomington and from that area, you either start getting recruited pretty early or you probably are looking in another direction. So, it's difficult. I mean, those schools are tough. I know the coaching staff at both of those schools in Bloomington, but especially Bloomington South over the years has just been tremendous. And, they do a great job. And those guys, when they come in, Jordan Hulls is a perfect example. When those guys come out of Bloomington South, I mean, they're high IQ guys. So, you got to give the high school coaching staff a lot of credit for that.
Earlier, you joked about Stanford didn't recruit you. When you were coming out of high school, what offers? Who did you other schools did you have offers from? Do you remember them?
I had an offer from Minnesota. Big Ten wise, I had Minnesota, and then it was down to me and Matt Painter for Purdue. And then luckily, I had the IU offer that came in when Jay Edwards went to the NBA. So that's really. Indiana didn't recruit me at all until it got to that point. They already had 6 recruits going there, so that wasn't a big thing. I really wanted to play in the Big Ten. That was important to me. So those are the schools that I really, there was a lot of smaller schools that had offered me, but the Big Ten schools were the ones that I really would have stuck towards, and I would have gone to either Minnesota or Purdue had I not had the opportunity to go to Indiana.
Now, when you made your decision, did you do it in a gym full of people with a table and 4 or 5 hats out in front of you and like do the magic ball trick or something?
I did it in a living room full of people. I mean, it was in my living room with Coach Knight on the phone. He called and offered it to me, and that was the extent of my recruiting at Indiana. I mean, I was always my dream to go there. So,
so did you accept on the offer?
On the phone, yeah, for sure.
Oh, so you accepted when he made the offer?
Yeah, no doubt. No doubt. There was no question. I mean, once that offer came out, I wasn't letting him back out of that one. I'd have driven down there and signed that night if it had been illegal.
And I know that was kind of common back in the day. I mean, when the guys would make an offer, like, "Oh, okay, yeah, I'm good." Michael Lewis told me a great story about his recruitment. He said he grew up a Purdue fan. He's from Jasper, but he didn't really care either way about going to Indiana when he was younger, and he was being recruited by Indiana, and they're up at his office at Assembly Hall, and walks in, his parents are in there, and he's, "Well, Michael, how you like here at Indiana?" "Oh, it's nice," and this, that. "Well, would you like to play basketball here in Indiana?" He goes, "Yeah, that'd be good." "All right." He slaps him on the back, walks out. "I'll have my people give you a call." Out the door he goes. That was it.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm laughing, but that's really not all that surprising. Like, I kind of get it. And I probably assumed Coach Knight just assumed that he was an IU guy or an IU fan his whole life anyway. I mean, that's the way a lot of us were. If you're going to that meeting and that interview, I think he probably assumes you're an IU fan. And obviously Michael Lewis couldn't be a better example of the Indiana kind of player that Coach Knight wanted to have. So, I mean, that's one. Had he needed to recruit him harder, I'm sure he probably would have. But once he committed, I know Coach Knight was super excited to have him.
And the 2 recruits, or the one commitment they have right now, Trey Galloway, Anthony Leal, I expect him to become one. But both of them doing the same thing. They're just doing the announcement via Instagram, sending out a message. "Hey, thank everybody. I'm going to go to Indiana." Does that kind of relay the kind of kids that Indiana needs to be getting, instead of doing having a circus act going on for your announcement?
It certainly appears so. I mean, it's that whole fiasco of stuff that happens. It seems like everybody's trying to be a little bit more creative here and there. I mean, you get enough attention as it is, and for 17, 18-year-old kid, they're already getting told how awesome they are all the time. To try to have another event where, they're the center of attention and everybody is just, Googling over them. It's kind of goofy, and I hate when they do that stuff. And, they're always kind of quirky and weird when they do them. They're never really the big anticipated thing. I mean, obviously Romeo's was great. I mean, I remember watching it online when Romeo had it, but I would have much preferred he just tweeted it out and somebody forwarded that to me. So I'm just not. You obviously know I'm not a fan of that kind of stuff, and but it's not going to stop. I mean, it's just going to get more and more elaborate as the years go on, I'm sure.
Yeah, I would have much rather they tweeted it out to you too, and I would not have had to sit in that gym for 3 hours.
Yeah, that was a long one, but I mean, they had the result that Indiana fans wanted. So, if that's what it takes, we'll take another one.
That's what it takes. Indiana, of course, 2 more open scholarships after this, and next year's class is just loaded. But Indiana only has 3 scholarships available next year if they fill this class up with 4. But I think something's going to happen because they're going to need more than that. There's so many guys in that class next year. It's not nearly as big as the class you came in with, but the talent level is pretty outstanding. Christian Lander from Evansville Wrights High School down there, the top recruit in the country, one of those guys. But there's a lot. There's Trey Kaufman from Silver Creek up in southern Indiana, and just all kinds of guys in that 2021 class. But what is it like when you came in with a big class? I mean, most classes are 2 or 3 and sometimes 4, but when you came in, there were 7 of you guys, and you were all damn good.
Yeah, I mean, it's a little bit different. I mean, when you've got 2 or 3 guys coming in, I mean, obviously, generally, you probably have a guard and a forward and a big guy or something along that capacity, and, you all probably have an opportunity to play. Well, with 7 of us, there's obviously, all of us are not going to start for sure, but there's just not that much playing time for unless you're Kentucky or the Fab Five. There's just not very many teams that play that many freshmen like that. And so it changes things up a little bit. I mean, it changes your perspective, but you kind of know that when you commit. I mean, not only were we pretty guard heavy coming in my year, but, Lyndon Jones and Jamal Meeks and those guys were already there, and those guys were good players that were playing a lot already. So, there's a lot to it, but you also feel like there's a lot that you can do. Like, you feel like you're fitting in, and Coach Knight does a good job of explaining and, what your role can be and how you can fit in. And so you feel pretty confident that there's a place for you. But it changes it a little bit. When there's 2 guys coming in and, both of those guys probably feel like there's plenty of playing time for them and available for them to get. And when there's 4 or 5 guys, it probably diminishes that just a little bit. So, it'll be interesting to see how they handle the last couple scholarships and what they do with them, or if they hang on to them, or what they end up doing.
I've had several former players on here lately: Nick Zeisloff, Jordan Hulls, Jordan will be on with me again Monday, Mo Creek. All those guys are getting to play over in Europe. What were the opportunities like when you were coming out? I mean, it was not nearly as big as it is then. And then we also have things like the TBT that just came to a close the other night.
Yeah, I mean, it was a little bit different back when I played. There was only 2 that foreign people to whatever country you were in on each team. So really, there was only 2 Americans on every team, and that probably made it a little less opportunity. But having played for Coach Knight, if you wanted to play overseas, you had that opportunity, and he didn't even have to pull any strings. Coaches wanted you to come there as much as anything because they wanted to learn from you. I mean, they obviously thought you were a good player, but they wanted to learn from Coach Knight and from what we had learned from him. So I know I played a year over in France and a year in Cyprus, and I also got to go play in Dubai and just some different opportunities to go play on some different teams. And that was also a lockout year for the NBA, one of my years, so I got to go to the NBA Summer League and that stuff. So there was plenty of opportunity, and coming from Indiana, you can play pretty much about as long as you want to. I think a lot of guys at that point are kind of tired and ready to move on with their lives, and some guys want to hang on and do it for another 10 or 15 years. I recommend to guys, play as absolute long as you can. And I stopped playing at a time when I could have continued on. And, I kind of wish I had not done that. But, you live and learn. And it was a choice I made at that time, and I was ready to start and have a family. And I got 3 boys to show for it. So I'm really proud of that.
Yeah, that's the thing. Most of the guys that do that are single or not married, not family. Jordan Hulls is a different one. He is married with children, and that's part of the thing that makes it difficult. And I didn't really think about it that much until I started talking to all these guys. But, they spend half their year out of the country, in a foreign country, and removed from all the things that we take for granted every day. That cannot be easy.
Well, I mean, yeah, but it's a lot easier now than it was when I played. I mean, we didn't have the internet. when I played. So my only connection to the United States was USA Today that was 3 days old that we would get over there. And, there was no ESPN where we could watch the games every night and stuff like that. So it was a lot different then. I'm sure it's much easier now than it used to be. But, you say you're gone half the year. It's more than half the year as well. I mean, I left in July and got back in May. So, it's a long season over there as well. It's a lot like, the college basketball season, only, it lasts a little bit longer and it's professional. So there's a lot more training and that kind of stuff involved in it. So it's not all fun and games, but believe me, it's better than an average 9-to-5 job. And I have told those guys, and I would tell as many of them as I could, that, as long as you enjoy it, play as long as you can, because it's an opportunity that, most people don't have, and you should take advantage of it as much as you can.
Yeah, I was talking to Jordan Hulls. They provide him with a car, insurance. He said, I'm like, man, you got it made.
Yeah, they when I got there, I had a car and an apartment, and they had. I actually had an agent who provided me with. There was a McDonald's in my town, and I had a McDonald's VIP card, which meant I could go to McDonald's and order anything I wanted, as much as I wanted all year long. And so it did not take me very long to gain about 30 pounds after I got there. And to this day, I still blame him for that, because I haven't lost that 30 pounds.
I was going to say, man, I'm sure that was great for the diet.
Yeah, it sucked. It was awful, but it sure tasted good.
Good deal. Well, man, I appreciate you. It's always great talking to you, brother. I don't want to take up your entire Friday. I've got to let you get out to the weekend, start the weekend. Hopefully you can start the weekend early.
Yeah, I got a long weekend of work, so I appreciate you giving me the time to take a vent here just a little bit, but now it's back to the grindstone. I got a long weekend of work.
Our favorite, the Toddfather, Todd Leary, man, we are always grateful to have you with us.
I appreciate it, buddy. I'll talk to you next week.
You bet. Todd Leary, we're coming to you from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios. That's going to pretty much wrap it up for us today. Indiana Sports Beat will be back on Monday with plenty more. Big show on Monday, as a matter of fact. Planning on having Anthony Leal on the show with us on Monday. Hopefully it's a good meeting, because that's all going to depend on how that announcement goes today. Also on the show Monday, Jordan Hulls is going to join us as well. A couple of Bloomington South guys, so looking forward to that. We appreciate everybody that's been on the show this week, though. It's been a great week. Thanks a lot for joining us. For Jake, I'm Jim Coyle, and I will see you on the radio.